Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's all right. And let's check this out. Put this like this. I'm going to move this differently. Let me just check out here. If I put this here, bring the laptop a little more to the forefront. To be a little more comfortable. Put this like this. Welcome to the Shortwave Radio Show, Wednesday edition. Hope everybody is going all right. I've been playing around with a new PC because the laptop that was running the SDR has had a hard drive crash. So I decided to actually check out and invest into a little PC. So here, I don't know if you guys could see it. Maybe the microphone's blocking. Yeah, it's blocking. So here, this little box right here with a little white light is actually a mini PC that is pretty powerful, actually. I purchased something that was small, but pretty good with Windows 10. And purchased that yesterday, arrived this morning. I've set it up during the day today. It's running the SDR now. Running pretty well, too. And so I am now running the SDRs and that screen with a more powerful PC, more, of course, more recent. And I wanted to have something small, little box that would do it all. So I took that PC, Core i5 with 16 gigabytes of RAM and 1 terabyte SSD in it. And it's pretty fast and pretty good. Really, really enjoy using it. So that will be now the new PC running all of that in the background there. And I think that's going to be cool. Small form factor and does what I want. And takes less space, too, because the laptop was taking a lot of space. And, it was getting old. I mean, the laptop was about 8 years old. So, it was time to replace it. Good technology is good, but it does have a point where it's like it's getting slow and it's getting, needs to be changed. So after 8 years of running my, and in there being about 5 years as my main laptop, it finally, the hard drive goes off. So I changed the hard drive today, actually. It's right here in the back, actually. It's reinstalling Windows 10 right now. I might change it to a Linux machine. I don't know. We'll see what I'm going to do with it. I still have just didn't decide what I'm going to do with the laptop. I mean, it still works. It's just that it's slower. So we'll see. And we'll be at least running a lot of nice stuff. Really going to work on that little thing. And, it's fast, and I will probably be able to do a lot more than I want. And also, it's going to be a dedicated Windows Insider machine at the same time. Being faster is going to be more interesting to use, make videos also, and all sorts of things. I'll be probably making a lot of videos, SDR videos, for example, that I'll be making will be done with that machine. So that's going to be kind of interesting. So anyways, well, new PC running the screen and a little form factor, small little box. Pretty cool, pretty fast. I think it's going to be pretty nice. I need, what I do, I need at least a couple of PCs that are powerful enough. So I've got the gaming laptop, which is the one I'm using for the stream at the same time. And I wanted something that was powerful enough here to be running multiple programs at the same time, and also be making videos. What's nice also, it has two HDMI outs, so I could have two screens, which is nice. So I think it's going to be a nice little device, and wasn't too expensive. So when I was halfway there yesterday. I was when the hard drive crashed. First thing I thought was, I'm going to change the hard drive with an SSD and reinstall Windows and just set it back up as my main machine for the SDR. And I was like, really? I mean, it's taking tons of space under the desk here, and it was slow on some of the things I wanted to do. So I was thinking, and I started looking on Amazon what they had, and started looking at the mini PCs. And the one that I have here it's a B-Link that I ordered, and it comes in different configurations. So when you actually go at checkout, you choose what you want to have in it. So it comes at the minimum with 8 gigs of RAM. The minimum machine is Core i3, 8 gigs of RAM, and 128 gigabyte SSD. That's the cheapest they have at something like 298. And of course, you have different others. So I chose the one with the Core i5 because there's a lot more performance in a Core i5 than an i3. And I chose a 16 gigabytes of RAM to have enough RAM to run here, what I want to do. And I chose the 1 terabyte because, if I have a lot of stuff to download or to install on it, at least there's going to be some space. And I'm very happy. I've been using it since. Sorry, guys. Been using it since. I got it. It was about 11 this morning. Not even 10 a.m. this morning. I almost immediately set it up. Took 15 minutes, and it was on Windows 10 running and well. And actually even installed an insider preview on it this afternoon. Installed SDR Uno, installed FLDG, and I'll continue installing. I want to install SDR Console V3 for the comparing with the HF AirSpy AirSpy HF Plus Discovery. And so this is going to be a nice little computer to run all this stuff, and takes no place, and it runs really, really well. So my name is Gilles, located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and of course we are here to entertain, and we talk about radio, shortwave radio. We are here twice a week. Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's Thursday, 0 hours Universal Time for a lot of people. And then we have our Saturday show at 3 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours Universal Time. Now, be warned that the reference to local time will be changing this weekend. It's the last week that we are running in Eastern Standard Time here because we're moving to daylight savings time on Sunday. That means next week the show is going to stay at 0 UTC on Wednesday or Thursday UT, and it's going to stay at 20 hours UTC on Sunday. But the change means that it's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday and 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. So that's all going to be next week. Once again, a lot of people get mixed up and say, well, so you change your time? No, I've stayed in the same time. As long as you work and as long as you live in UTC, it's always the same. The time change is only because we change our clocks. So this is going to be a little something to remember. I remember maybe 2 years ago, I went to do the show. I think it was a Saturday show. I think it was the Saturday show that we went um, from daylight savings time to standard. And so instead of 4, I was supposed to start at 3 p.m. and I completely forgot. In my mind, it was still 4, and I came in an hour late. That was kind of, really, really pretty cool. So it's kind of a very, very funny thing to when it happened. Really, really crazy. Really, really crazy. So we talk about radio, shortwave radio. We just enjoy the moment, and we of course have some questions today. I saw. I just checked here. I did see that just before the show started, Elizabeth in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada says hello. Standing by, listening to the show. And she has her Kenwood R5000 on to listen to some signals. And she says, thank you for everything you do. So welcome, Elizabeth in Regina, Saskatchewan. We have a fantastic chat room with wonderful people. If you actually like the company of great people that are fun to be here and to answer questions, help out. I mean, this is probably the most helpful group of all, and this is cool. And the other thing that is interesting after this is if you have fun with everybody here and enjoy the moment. Well, there's a Facebook group, official SWL channel is the Facebook group where everybody can join in and share. There's lots of people sharing pictures and videos of what they're listening to and their radios and the shack, and it's really a lot of fun. People answering and asking questions, answering questions. It's everybody's welcome, and it's a lot of fun. So hope that you join in. And it's the same name as the channel here, official SWL channel. So as usual, I have my vodka cranberry. So cheers, everybody. We have a lot of fun talking about shortwave in general. Bobby Burgess, nice to have you here, my friend from Morgan City, Louisiana, USA. WA5107 SWL. Rob in Phoenix, Arizona, nice to have you here. Dennis, nice to have you on board from Southern Illinois, WA 9326 SWL. Larry Stevens, nice to have you on board. He says great weather day in Central Ohio. Here was really good also. We had, let me just change a little something here. There we go, because I want to move this here and this here like I do usually. So the weather here was beautiful today. We went into the 50s. It was about 10, 11 degrees Celsius. Really felt like spring. It was amazing, but I had a lot of work to do. So I didn't enjoy a lot of it, but man, I did I had lunch at noon on the outdoor balcony because it was really beautiful. Larry Stevens, nice to have you on board. Ryan CJ3, nice to have you on board. NX2II, JRDX, nice to have you on board. Eyebrawler, nice to have you here from Northeast Arkansas. We have Rufus from the slowly thawing Laurentian Valley, Ontario. It is here a little bit because when I went out to put the recycling, what happened is I put my foot on the ground and I probably sinked about an inch in the soil, which is full of water, of course, because of the melting snow. Joe Rodman, nice to have you here from Chicago area. Skipper Ray, N2EI, nice to have you on board. Jim Bally, Mr. Bale, nice to have you here. 319, nice to have you on board from rainy California. Chameli, Mr. Bale, was the UHF stream supposed to be last Monday? It was supposed to be last Sunday, but I couldn't do it on Sunday. And now I'm 50-50 chance of next Sunday because got a little things that come up, and the only day that I can take care of it was Sunday. So I'm going to try to make it. I'll keep you guys updated on that. If all goes well, it's still going to be this coming Sunday rather than last Sunday. So I'll keep you guys updated on the situation here. Keegan, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas, 68 Fahrenheit. Wow. Eric Cottrell, bonjour et bienvenue. Nice to have you on board from a beautiful day in Boston. Chris, 66, nice to have you on board from Kentucky. We have Gerardo, nice to have you here from Michigan. Aerial Imaging. No, Malachite was shipped 2 days ago. So we're Wednesday, shipped on Monday. So time that it arrives, it has a shipping a tracking number, so I'll be checking that out. I also have that other anonymous radio that is kind of that little radio based on the silicon integrated 4735 34-ish chip that I was curious that is also coming. So I'll have a couple of radios to talk about in the next few weeks for sure. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you here from Central Georgia. Shelly, nice to have you on board from Pennsylvania. Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Aerial Imaging, does a Windows tablet run standard Windows programs? For example, could I get a Windows 10 tablet and be able to run SDR stuff on it? Yeah. Most Windows tablets run Windows 10 on them. Some of them have Windows 10S, but you can convert to a regular Windows 10 for free, usually. The problem is just make sure that you get one that is powerful enough. There's a lot of underpowered Windows tablets out there that are really, really weak to run an SDR. So I would suggest that you just be careful which one you're going to choose. But a standard Windows 10 tablet will usually run SDRs without any problem. I had one a couple of years back that was a cheap one, and I was able to run actually the RTL SDR on it a little bit, for sure. Probably Mr. Bell using a 10-year-old computer. As long as it does what you want, that's the important thing, actually. Erica Charles, so yep, I replaced the hard drive in the laptop with an SSD because of the I wanted to have something that was a little faster. So right now it's installing. Actually, probably is finished by the time that I'm saying this and waiting for me to just give my little details and my Microsoft account for it to run again. But I'm pretty sure that I want to maybe change it into a Linux laptop and dedicate it to Linux for a simple reason. There's a subset of users that are running SDRs and radio stuff on Linux. And I was thinking, well, it give me the opportunity to be able to maybe do that side of radio SDRs, videos running a Linux for sure. I had a Mac many years ago. I had a Mac, a Macintosh, a laptop, and I'm never going to buy a Mac again. So that's personal. Because I think they're just too expensive for the power that you get. You get a lot more power out of a Windows machine for the same price paid. And I'm a Windows guy anyways. And, I think what divides mostly Windows and Mac users is that Mac users are diehard Mac users from a long time ago. There was somebody that was asking me on the tech channel, says, "Well, everybody's moving to Mac." No, they're not. If they would, there would be increasing number of Macs out there, and it's not the case. They're pretty much stable at the same percentage of market share. Actually, Chromebooks are taking over Mac. There were more Chromebooks sold last year than Macintosh computers, so it tells you that people are not necessarily moving to a Mac. And I think what probably prevents a lot of people from going to a Mac computer is more price than anything else. If people, if MacBooks would be less expensive, maybe there would be more people moving on. But then again, also people are moving on to other technologies. So, anyways, I will be probably using Linux on that machine, and I don't know, like I said, I'm a Windows guy, and you're not going to get that out of me. Vince, salut. J'espère que ça va bien de Deux Montagnes. Nice to have you on board from near Montreal. Yeah, that's there are limits to older computers, and that's it. You see it, Trimbali. It's funny because so you're using an i3, and over when I was doing a lot of serious tech duties, and I would go to my clients. One of the things that was interesting was that I would always have a fast computer because I would always, I'm the guy that pays more than $1,000 for a laptop most of the time. And so when I would go to my clients, they would look at my laptop and say, "Wow, your laptop is so fast compared to my computer." And it was always, well, I put the money in it. It has powerful hardware. It's as simple as that. But the thing is as long as it does what you want at the speed that it is reasonable, it's all right. You don't have to buy a PC every year or every 2 years. Even my laptops, even as a tech guy, a lot of people are asking me, "Oh man, you must be the guy that's changing his laptop all the time." No, I would usually have a good 5-year run on most laptops before I started maybe thinking of getting something else. What else do we have? Tom DXer, nice to have you on board from the Hudson Valley, New York. Going to be near 70 tomorrow. Wow. WPE2Q80. Nice to have you on board. That's pretty beautiful weather here too, before it starts dropping again, actually. Paul, yes, it's Wednesday again. Nice to have you here from Southwest Michigan. And time goes fast. I mean, I barely know what's happening. Things are just going so crazy, and that the work that I have to do, taking care of somebody that's sick, all of that together is like taking a lot of time and taking a kind of a toll on me a little bit. So time just goes crazy. Hey, Monkey Man, nice to have you here. Yeah, Spinrite. I know about that software. There's nothing I have nothing to recover in that drive, honestly. I was thinking this morning, what do I miss from the drive? And after like 10 minutes, I was like, nothing. I don't miss nothing on that drive. So skip WRMI oldies program loud and clear, 93.95 kilohertz. Cool. Eric Cottrell always installs SSD in his laptops for the last 10 years or more. Yeah, they do give, even older laptops, they give a substantial boost in performance. Absolutely. Paul says 60 to 65 Fahrenheit. So, but gale warnings today. Wow. He's waiting to put up his stereo discount antenna on the 3rd floor chimney. I noticed that my sloper is actually, I was surprised with the winds, and my sloper has not been taken care of really in a few years, and with every winter and winds and high storms and all of that, I've been I've been kind of wondering if if I would need to maybe go and check out if everything is all right. And while looking out the bedroom window, because that's where I see my sloper. So my sloper, I'm used to seeing it in the backyard. It has a slight wobble in it, but now it's more. And I was looking at it from my bedroom window. I said, it doesn't look the same. And I look at the end of the fence, and I noticed that the pole that I had put on the fence to hold it is not on the fence anymore. It's just dangling in the air. And that's where I noticed that in the 3 or 4 years that it's been out there, the tree in the corner has grown so much that the sloper has kind of got stuck in one of the branches. And so the pole broke off the fence, but it's still hanging because the wire is stuck in the branch of the tree. So it's still kind of up, but I will have to do something when the snow is melted. I'm gonna go and check that out. I don't know if I'm gonna leave it up. Honestly, I I I wonder what I'm gonna do with it. It's so noisy that it's not very useful, honestly. So I'm kind of wondering, is it useful to have it there or not? Or should I, I don't know. We're going to see. Keegan, nice to have you on board for Northwest Arkansas last week for Central Standard Time over there. AB says, what's the best radio to listen to ham radio? Well, pretty much, any good portable like an XH data is pretty good for that. XH data D808, a Texan PL680 is great for that also. They are quite good receivers to listen to single sideband signals from amateur radio. Depends how much you want to spend. Chas Tank, nice to have you on board from Louisville, Kentucky, 72 Fahrenheit. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Nice to have you on board, my friend. It's let me just check it out here. I lost my spot. Okay. What else do we have here? And we have everybody saying hello to Elizabeth. Cool. Paul says, wish daylight times would be canceled already. Didn't it start with the 70s energy crisis? It started a long time ago. I noticed it started a long time ago. But honestly, we should be staying at one time for sure. They were saying that the rate of people having health health problems and going to the hospital was higher when the time changed for some reason. Apparently that little 1 hour change makes a big difference. Tremelli Mr. Bell is currently using his RSP2 Pro. So he's listening to FRS in the USA. What else do we have? Yeah, it started a long time ago. It didn't have something to do with farming a long time ago when they needed to have a little more time in the summer and there was something about that, and there was that energy saving, I believe, but I don't know. I think it's not sure I'm not sure it's ever been a good idea. Keegan has reception with his Ethon Granic Edition satellite radio. Rick Cachal went for a nice walk. The worst part today was the weather was beautiful, and I didn't have time. I had too many things to do. But man, I was looking at that weather and I was like, man, that would be so cool to go out to the park with the Texan PL990X and have a run of the radio, in a environment where there's almost no noise compared to here, just to test it out a little more. But it's coming. We're getting there slowly. So still March. March is that dangerous month. It looks like spring. It can almost look like summer sometimes, and then that snowstorm hits, and we're back with another foot of snow over everything. So we never know. Until mid-April and even end of April, things are always unsure. Matt MDK2 says, nice to have you here from Denver, Colorado. I believe I said I already. Started building a raised garden bed on Sunday, but found my favorite garden center is closed Monday and Tuesday. And found maybe I need a landscaping company for the soil. So it's on hold. Blind Picker, nice to have you here. W0RAB, Rob in Connecticut. Nice to have you here. Douglas, nice to have you on board from Florida. KC5ZUE, pretty cool. Mika Dalmage, nice to have you here from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada. William Moser, nice to have you on board. Clovis, I'm the guy that asked about number stations a while ago. I love using Preom for listening to all sorts of things. Cool, nice to have you here. And Preom is amazing for a lot of information. On everything that is number station. It's really, really cool. And you guys, I posted in the Facebook group. I posted it on the Canadian International DX group, and I made a video. If you like utilities, Larry Van Horn has updated today, March 10th, 2021, his list of civilian aeronautical frequencies and military. So check that out. A nice big list of frequencies there. And it's updated today, March the 10th. So pretty cool. No problem, Matt. Have a nice time making a dinner, but pretty cool. My kitchen will be ready for a visit from Martha Stewart and the Queen by Saturday. The Malachite is shipping via standard post, so I'll be receiving it here by Canada Post when it gets to the country. Art Wayne International, nice to have you here from Michigan. Purple Phase, nice to have you here. KD3 Easy Art in Wilmington, North Carolina. Pretty cool. Nice to have you on board, my friends. What else do we have? Rufus only runs Linux. Yeah, the 990X is nice. The Texan 990X is absolutely nice for AM radio use because of its much better tuning of the single sideband rather than having a BFO or anything. You're tuning like a desktop receiver. It already tunes precisely at 10 hertz precision, and you don't have to adjust. It's really, really nice radio. You know what frequency you're tuned to also, where a regular portable, it tunes fine. I mean, a regular portable with a fine tune or BFO tunes fine, but you might sometimes be off by up to 1 kilohertz depending on how you tune your single sideband. There's always a little region where you're not really sure what frequency you're actually tuned to. That for the 990X is one of the great things about it that makes it very precise in its tuning. John, what's your tech channel name? My tech channel name is Windows and Computers. Bluegrass Dan, nice to have you on board. Rob says, I have a friend still using an old MacBook because a new one is just too expensive. A lot of people that when I did tech guy duties, a lot of people that on Macs were holding on to them as long as they could because of the price tag. But it's okay. It's totally okay. Whatever people use. I would always. It was so funny because everybody would ask me, oh, is Mac really better? And I would say, it ain't better. The computer you have is fine. And if you want to go to a Mac, what I would always say is, when you go to a Mac, if you want to go to a Mac or change to Apple, it's fine. Do it if that's what you want to do. It's up to you. It's not up to me to tell you if you go there or not. But I will tell you one thing: it's not better, because I never found Mac computers better in any way. But that is a personal thing. Usually, it's the majority of Mac users are Mac users since a long time ago. They always stay at Mac computers. So it's kind of interesting. Spike, my MacBook Air has lasted me 10 years so far. I bought my wife 3 Microsoft machines in that time and just gave up. Got her Chromebook. Yeah, well, for a lot of people, Chromebooks, are okay. And in reality, PCs last as long as Macs. It's not, to be very fair as a tech guy, Windows machines last as long. The problem that most people don't understand is that they're ready to pay, $1,800 for a Mac, but they're going to pay $600 for a PC, and then they wonder why it's slow, why it doesn't do what they want, or it has a problem. And it's like, well, you paid a third of the price, Microsoft. Problem is, you're just buying cheap PCs. So that's the other thing. My PCs here that I have that are laptops all run, and some are 10 to 12 years old. Never had a glitch. When you buy and put the price on a PC, you have a great machine that runs forever. It's the same thing. So, I won't go into the details, but when people tell me, oh, well, MacBooks are so much better, it's like, they're not at all, at all. And even more interesting when we talk about Macs is that half of the parts are PC parts. When I would fix Macs, they would say, "Oh, you got the Apple RAM memory." It's like, you don't need Apple RAM memory. It's Kingston memory. The same thing in a PC. It's just a lot of it is the same thing. But in reality, there's no such thing as a Mac is better than Windows. They're equal. There's the same thing. They last the same length. It's just that, unfortunately, a lot of people just don't want to put the price on the machine. That's what's holding them down much more than anything else. Because Macs are expensive, and I hope they last, because for the price. One thing that I didn't like about Mac, and that's what happened with my MacBook Pro that I had here, is that after a certain time, they decided that it was not supported with one of the newer OS 10 operating systems. And that pissed me off, because I thought, okay, I paid $1,800 for this machine, and you're telling me, oh, we decided that machine is not supported anymore. That was the nail in the coffin for me. That was like, screw you, I'm never buying a Mac again. Where Windows machines last forever. A lot of Windows 10 machines today are old 7, 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old PCs that are actually running. They're actually running. Sorry, that's me. Actually running Windows 10. And so, I find that much more commendable, that you can use old PCs and still run something without having to buy a new one. But at the most basics, whatever you have and whatever you like, that's the important thing. The rest, is opinions, and depending on all sorts of things. My opinions are more driven because of my tech jobs and my knowledge in computers. But I mean, I like my MacBook Pro. It was a nice machine. I loved it when I had mine, and it was fine. I'm not bashing one or the other. They're all good. It's just it's, I think, more a personal opinion and a personal favorite. And if you like Macs, you like Macs. And there's some hardcore Linux fans. Perfect, perfect. I'm not the one who's going to say to change anything. Actually, I was never the one, and I got that comment so many times as a tech guy. People saying, I get other techs that come here, and they all tell me, "Oh, you got to change that PC, or you're going to change that. You got to buy this." I never hear that from you, and I'm like, "Is it doing what you want? Yeah. Why should you change?" And they're all like, "You're so different from other tech guys. You don't want to sell stuff." And I said, "My main job is not to sell, because I don't care if I sell you something." I was always explaining, if I sell you a hard drive, I'm making $5 on that hard drive. So I don't really care about selling hard drives, because I don't care. I'm just making $5. I'm not making, you're not making money really selling parts, because the market is too rough on the price. So I would tell them, I'm not interested in selling parts. I'm not interested in selling PCs. I'm just interested in helping you with what you have, which is a lot more lucrative. That's where you make money. That's where the business is. Not in, so I, you know, sold you RAM and sold you, a hard drive, and your PC is running. What made money there is the time that I took to fix it, not the selling of a hard drive or RAM memory. So I was always telling everybody, I don't care about selling you parts, and I don't care about selling you a new PC or anything. You have a perfectly good machine. I don't know why people, I don't know why you should sell it. And that's what I always found kind of bad about the tech guy industry, always wanting you to buy something new, which is never what I've been. If I would tell you to buy a new PC, is because you needed a new PC, because that was really, really now a problem, and it was much more it was, most of the time, it was mostly based on, if you keep that PC, we're going to see each other so often that you wish you would have bought a new PC. So it was more a monetary. You're going to save money if you buy a new PC. That's it. Bluegrass Dan loves his Mac Mini M1, very fast. Yeah, today's computers are really good, really fast. The M1, which is ARM based, is pretty surprising. VT Radio, nice to have you here, Paul AA1SU from Northern Vermont, and restoring a Zenith Transoceanic R600 in the background. Cool. I'll have a good time checking that out. Levy Nathan, nice to have you on board. AB, you don't have to ask the same question 45 times. You can ask it once, but you got to give me time to get to where it is, where I will read it, because I'm always behind in the chat room. But it depends how much money you want to spend. Yes, the Texan PL990X is one of my favorites as a portable, because it tunes precisely, and it tunes much more like a desktop, which is a lot of fun to tune for amateur radio. But even a low end, XH Data D808, or even, the Texan PL330 that came out is a fun little radio to tune amateur radio signals. And it's not expensive, about $59, $60. It's pretty cool when you think of the price. So, but Texan PL990X has an edge. It has a little more to it, but you don't have to go there. You could go to the Texan PL880, which tunes pretty much in the same way, and you'll save a few bucks. Dennis, I haven't taken care of my sloper. Consequently, it is running downhill. Pretty much. Joe Gomez, nice to have you here from San Diego, California. Chris, G7VEO, did you tune into International Women's Day on radio? Made contact with lots of German YL hams. need more from other countries. I was that was Monday. Did not. I pretty much did not. Pretty much did not listen to the radio on Monday, but I saw a lot of stuff about it during the day. And yeah, I think radio hobby needs more women. That would be nice. Chris66 missed this. Do you mind saying what processor? It's an Intel Core i5. Intel Core i5. It's one of the latest generation, not the most recent, but it's like a generation before, or something like that. An Intel Core i5. Cool. Welcome aboard CIDX. Well, it'll be nice to have you on board the Canadian International DX Club and you receiving the wonderful messenger bulletin. Caveman, nice to have you here. Jerry DX having fun with the Malachite DSP SDR receiver. Nice little radio. Cool. Caveman, wish I had more snow where you lives. I can send you some if you pay the shipping. It's going to cost. It's pretty heavy. Snow Puppy, nice to have you here from Nebraska. Texan PL990X delivered yesterday and says you did not oversell it. Metal knobs with rubber caps, already my favorite radio. It is a great radio. I love mine. It's one of my favorite, if not as a portable, pretty much close, if not my favorite, actually. Mobile Armored Strike Command is going to repair a vacuum tube shortwave radio receiver called Spartan. Cool. Darwin, nice to have you here. WA0HEU. Caveman, Priam says is good, but they don't list every station, which is weird, like the Arabic Man or Irish Man, neither of these very active station, though. But the Priam website is driven by users. So if nobody gets up to giving them details about it and even possibly giving them maybe a running schedule, they don't have the information because Priam pretty much puts everything there. But there's definitely a lot of missing stuff in the number stations on Priam, because the more I tune the bands, the more I see how there are possibly some number stations that are just one time. We talk about the one-time pad message. Well, I'm starting to think there's a lot of one-time frequency and time transmissions also. But it's driven by the community. So if nobody really, kicks in and gives more information about what station's on the air, what time, and all the information, they might not have that information at Priam. It's possible nobody gave them that information, because there's I wouldn't see any information, any reason, for them not having it on the website. You can also check another place, which is the Numbers and Oddities website. Numbers and Oddities website that has a lot of weird stuff also in there. David, KJ4CMY says, hoping to get my discount antenna up this spring. We'll look for FMDX. I got to say, if I had time today, I would have possibly put up my discount temporarily outdoors. M7NCN, nice to have you here. Log 2112, nice to have you here. Johnny, nice to have you here. Mr. RJS27, and says, I have an SPR4 in my attic somewhere. Maybe I could find it. I should find it. You need to. Aerial imaging. Do you know anything about the Elenco DJX11? I had an impulse buy moment today. It's one of those. It's one of those radios that I remember looking. That I've been looking at. Long time in the 90s. as a possible buy. It was an expensive radio. It looks decent. I don't know a lot about it and its performance, but it looks decent. So if you haven't paid too high of a price, you might actually have a lot of fun with it. James Johnson, lots of graphic designers. Yeah, but it's more of a, when we talk about how people use a certain machine over another for something, it's often taught, oh, well, just because, the Mac is better. And it's not because the Mac is better, it's because you end up with a community that simply uses certain software and certain and end up in that. If you go to school and graphic design, everybody has a Mac, so you're going to tend to have a Mac also. It's more of a thing where everybody's just going there because everybody around you in that area has a Mac. Because honestly, PCs are as powerful machines as Mac are for graphic design. It's just a question of I think, it's like everything in life. If you start, if we start listening to shortwave and you notice that everybody around you, anybody around you, what radio they use, and everybody tells you, oh, I got everybody's using a Texan PL 990X, and almost nobody is using anything else. Well, you'll tend to be, oh, well, I guess for the hobby, that's what we need to get. It's more of a question of whatever is around you. And if you go to school, and when I went to electronics school, there was a department where the graphic designers back in the day, and they were on Macs back then, and it's really purely just that's how it happened, and everybody just moves along. And so people get into graphic design and like, oh, I guess it's a Mac that I need. It's more than that than anything else. There's no, the same software exists for PC, and PCs are actually for the same price spent. A PC is even more powerful. It's really more of a thing. Like everybody wants to have the same, hardware and the same thing. And you also get the other thing, and that's what I was talking with one of my clients once on Mac, because I fixed Macs and I did a lot of things, and yes, believe it or not, I removed quite a lot of viruses from Macs. Malware is also on Mac computers. But I remember once one of the my clients asking me, why or so she was saying that she was kind of the black sheep because she had a PC and everybody in her family had a Mac, and she said, why is everybody buying a Mac? Well, I said it's a question of just going through around you, everybody is a Mac, so it might be a good idea to get a Mac because you can call your family or friends for help. And that was an example I gave a lot of times. People are like, should I buy a Mac? And I would ask them, do you know anybody that has a Mac? If that person tell me everybody around me has a Mac, I said, it could be interesting if you want to go move to that side of technology. You have friends and family already that could help you if you've got problems. Because I was always telling them, moving from Windows to a Mac isn't as easy as people say. It's like, oh, you move to a Mac, apparently it's so easy. No, I had so many clients completely lost when they got on their Mac computers because there are some differences. What I would say is, well, you'll have help, you'll have friends around you. But when somebody would tell me, I hear that Macs are good, and I would ask them, do you have Mac friends or family? They would say, no, everybody's in Windows. I always tell them, think twice, because it's not easy like people say to move to Mac. And if you have no friends or family, you'll be stuck calling me to give you some Mac lessons at home to help you use some of the Mac capabilities. So I would, that as a graphic designer is simply that. It's you go to school, you notice everybody around you, graphic designers or future graphic designers, they're all on Macs. So it's like, well, okay, I guess I've got to buy a Mac. And it's a good thing also because whatever software you use, whatever you do, since everybody's on the same platform, you can call somebody for help easily. It's really just a question of people have a lot of a tendency to often say, oh well, if graphic designers go on Mac is because it must be super powerful, or it's like, and that is that's a myth. And that in technology, anybody that knows technology really well is going to tell you, no, that's a myth. Macs are not more powerful than PCs. They never were, really, especially for price versus performance. Price versus performance, a $1,500, well, like my laptop is a $1,600 gaming laptop. It beats the crap out of any Macs of the same price. That I can guarantee. But it's designed for other things. It's designed for gaming. But you could do graphic design on it, and you'll have as good performance on my laptop with graphic designing. But you'll be alone because there's like, if there's a glitch or there's something that you need to help with, you won't have anybody to call because they're all going to be on Macs, and it's like, well, okay, I'm alone on my PC. Thus, also probably propagating the other false idea that, oh well, I got a problem. Of course, it's Windows. No, you got a lot of problems on Mac too. But it's just if you have other Mac friends around you, you can call your friends and it's like, hey, I got that little problem here with my graphic design software. It's really just a question of platforms and how people perceive things in technology. It's quite interesting. When being a tech guy was interesting also for that aspect, seeing how the perception of everybody on the technology around us and what's good or what's bad. It's like saying, well, Windows, it's like if you have a Windows machine, you are going to have viruses. Nope. It doesn't work like that. Your chances of having a virus when you are careful with a PC isn't more than on a Mac or on Linux. It's always a perception because of numbers more than anything else. More Windows machine means you hear more often a Windows user giving complaints about something. That it's always a question of numbers. If the world, I tell everybody, if the world would have been the other way around, 90% of computers are Macs and Windows PCs would be 8%. We would be talking about how Windows PCs are so safe and so good. And we would be talking about those Macs that are plagued with viruses. It would be the other way around. It's really a question of perception more than anything else. It's funny because, you go through and, your friends, your family, what people talk gives an impression of technology and different things. Thomas Kitts, nice to have you here from Michigan. It's almost a tech show tonight. Johnny, anyone advise a clueless man where to start with SDR? I would start honestly with something very simple, and that will already be good from the start. The SDR Play RSP1A would be a good starter SDR for a very simple reason. Are you good with PCs, with computers? Are you the guy that is not that great with PCs, honestly? Then the RSP1A has one advantage. It's plug and play. You install SDR Uno, you plug in that device, it just works. RTL SDR V3, kind of entry level, kind of. But the problem with that is you have to understand and install a special driver before it's going to work. And there's all sorts of little things like that if you're not tech savvy, you're already starting off with a tough one. I don't know how many posts that I've seen of people with RTL SDRs and RTL SDR V3s saying, I can't get that thing to work. I don't understand. I had to go to Shortwave on that thing. That's not going to be a problem with an SDR Play RSP1A because for an entry-level SDR, it works out of the box as long as the software is installed. And that's the good thing. It makes it easy. Then, let's be fair, it makes it easy to start. But you have to learn how to use the software. That's the second step, where it's a steep curve. I see how a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are struggling, trying to understand how to use their SDRs after that. And that's another thing. So, what else do we have? Othniel Hibbert. Nice to have you here. Log 2112. My dad used to say, you get what you pay for. Kind of says it all. David, I keep my computer until it doesn't run anymore. For most, yeah. Seekers, nice to have you here. Yeah, today it's rendered. I had it great in my days, because in my days the MacBooks and MacBook Pros were easy to fix for a because I never got the certification for Mac repairs. So back in my days it was cool, but when I stopped fixing computers, it was the great time, because the new Macs coming out, you needed special tools, and they had more. It was more and more difficult if you weren't a certified Apple guy to fix anything. And even on because you're saying nowadays Apple solders RAM, even on the PC side, a lot of laptops have become almost impossible to repair today, which I find really sad, honestly. Spike built his PC for recording studio and still going after 12 years, never updated, never connected to the internet. Well, in general, PCs last a really long time. Douglas, my little knockabout or carry shortwave receiver is the Grandig Yardboy 400p. Oh, it's a nice radio. The Grandig Yardboy 400 is a great radio. Caveman. Yeah, no, it's not exactly that, Caveman, but it's just that they didn't tell everybody. It's mostly that they slowed down the smartphones, like the iPhones, when the battery was actually getting old, to save battery life. And they haven't been clear at doing that. It's like, if you do that, you have to tell people. William Helms, nice to have you on board from Florida. We know how good Windows XP is. Number stations still use it. I don't remember where. I remember listening to a shortwave broadcast of something and hearing a Windows XP sound in the audio. And it's not that long ago, actually. Oh, a lot of stuff runs on XP still. Securus says ATMs. I hope they change, but last year when I went to the bank here, I was waiting for my turn, and I was seeing the Windows XP screensaver in the background on some of the PCs of the bank, and I was like, yeah, no wonder we're going to lose our money. They're running Windows XP still. Snow Puppy has a ThinkPad X1 Yoga for 4.5 years. Pretty cool. Exactly, Tom DXer. SDR Play RSP1A is what I recommend. Really. Oh, God. Dennis misses his Vista machine. You want one? I can send you one. I got one there. I'll send you one if you want. Just pay the shipping. Ramon, nice to have you here from British Columbia. Randy in Riverside, California. What else do we have? Karen, nice to have you here. What else do we have? The Wind, 1960. Nice to have you here from Central New York. Bill, should a decent ham transceiver be preferred over any current shortwave only radio. One thing for sure is that if you are thinking of getting your ham license and do get a transceiver, you're actually hitting the jackpot because you already will have what it takes for a being a ham and listening to shortwave. That said, they're not necessarily better than a shortwave radio. They are as good or as a shortwave radio. Transceivers are good for shortwave receiving. That's for sure. The other thing you got to remember is that a lot of places will not sell you a transceiver if you're not showing your ham license, though. Gerardo, is there a difference between the Texan PL310 and ET? Yes, the 310 is the first generation. And I got actually the 310 here. And the 310 ET is a little more modern looking and has ETM scan, which is something you want to have in a radio. So do choose the 310 ET if you have to choose between both. The 310 ET is also apparently more sensitive. Jetcrafter, nice to have you on board from Maine. Enjoyed the warm sun today. Grilling steaks and tuning the bands using his new MLA30 Plus. He's so happy with it. Cool. Rodrigo, nice to have you on board from Brazil. Sending you a hug also. Rui B, nice to have you here. Larry Cordy, nice to have you here from New York. What else? VL, thanks to your tips, I was able to pick The Voice of Korea at 23 UT in Spanish. Quality was very low, unfortunately. Thank you very much. Do you have any tips on listening in the city? Unfortunately, in the city, try to get away from homes as much as possible. So most big cities have a lot of parks of or areas where there's a lot of trees where houses are far away. Just take your radio for a walk and go out. It's the best that you can do. If you are stuck at home in the city, sorry, your best bet is a MLA30 loop or a magnetic loop of some sort. These are the best bet in city dwelling because they will lower some of that noise for sure. Mark Cope, nice to have you here from Dallas, Texas. Snow Puppy, as a Canadian, do you like Rush? I grew up in Oklahoma and was a Rush fanatic as a teenager. I don't hate Rush, but I've never been a big fan of Rush personally. It was kind of a progressive style of rock that was not in what I like to listen to. But there's a few songs that I did like, of course, from Rush. But it was not. I never been a big. I'll have to say also. I'll be fair here. I've never really, maybe that I should do. I got YouTube Music. Maybe I should listen to a couple of Rush albums completely. Like I've never heard more than pretty much what played on the radio. So maybe I'm missing out on something because I've never took the time to listen in. But from what I heard, I was never really that big of a fan of Rush. Ron N9XYI, nice to have you here. Canadian Radio TV guy, nice to have you here. All the funny story found in the neighborhood stray cat on top of the 20-foot balcony of Wooden Fort by the MLE30. There was an orange cat, and the first thing I thought, he was Paul. My neighbor downstairs is she loves cats. She has 2 cats, and Paul. I told a story I think last week. Paul the cat actually goes downstairs and stands by her window, and I'm going to show you guys the picture. It's just so funny. So he goes by the window, and he waits and he looks inside, and let me just find this picture. It's just so funny. The other day, she took a picture of Paul by her window. And here it is, looking inside her apartment. So it's like it's just so funny. And she sent me another video where she sees she when Paul does that, her cats often go to the window to meet Paul, and she finds that cool. And she really loves Paul because she finds him so beautiful as a cat. Laura Robertson, nice to have you here from KO4DFJ land. William Helms says last Saturday we were talking about boat anchors. I've wanted a Collins R390 for a long time. I'd like to have, if I had space, I would have a few boat anchors here for sure. I would love to have that for sure. J72 IMS Ishmael. I'm trying to set up Echolink on this ICOM 9100 via USB CAD control cable, but it won't work. Does that use a serial to USB adapter? If it does, make sure your serial to USB adapter is good, because there's a lot of fakes out there that work really bad. I had one for a long time on my ICOM ICRD 500, and it would freeze all the time. It was dreadfully bad to use. Then you have to really understand well how to set the speed, the COM port, and everything. Make sure that all of that is matching correctly. Laura, I need to check out to use the ETM. Yeah, it's pretty easy to use. ETM is usually you just press the ETM button until it starts scanning. And once it ends the scan, it's going to give you all the stations. I'll give you an example with the the Texan PL990X has ATS scan, which does basically the ETM scan. I'm going to do a scan with the Texan receiver here. So what it does, it starts scanning. So here I'm going to show you guys. It's scanning the international broadcast bands. So I just press the button, hold until it starts scanning, and you let it do its job. What it does is it's going to go through the international broadcast bands. That's very important to understand. ETM scan, because a lot of people tell me, well, my ETM doesn't work well. It just scans certain bands. Easy tuning mode is made for international broadcast bands only. In big part because it is rather useless with utilities in general, because utilities, apart from a few that are there all the time, most of them are temporary. So you could stop on something that it's not going to have any communications when you start. And also because single sideband, if the scan goes through the moment where they're not talking, it's not going to stop. There's no signal. It's really made for international broadcast bands. So it will go from the bottom 120 meters all the way up to 26,100 at the 11-meter band. It will scoop up everything that it finds in there and add it into a temporary memory channel, except the Texan PL990X, since it's a ATS scan, it puts it in a memory channel. Newer radios like the Texan PL368 have ETM Plus. The Texan PL330 also. ETM Plus has two advantages: scans faster, but also adds the memory or adds the information into pages that depends on the time you're scanning. So ETM Plus, if you scan at 0 UT, will give you a certain number of stations. If you scan at 01, you'll notice that 01 is going to blink before it starts scanning to tell you, okay, we're in a new page because we have changed to a new time. And so it's there to find international broadcast stations that you might be listening to. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to actually put the volume on the radio here because my 990X is on the console. And I'm going to check out what stations we actually found here on the radio. So it's almost done its scan right now. So it's a great feature. I often taught that ETM, because when there's new features like that, you always say, well, that's a gimmick, and you look at that's FT1. What's FT1? What the hell's that? So when ETM scan arrived, I thought, oh, that's a gimmick, until I used it for the first time, and I thought, oh, actually, this is kind of cool. It finds some of the stations you can hear. So now it's stopped. Okay, I'm going to put the volume on the Texan here. So the first station it found is 4840,
extended spectrum bacteria,
which is WWCR. That's what we hear. Then go WRMI 5800, 5850 WRMI, WWCR 5935. Another WRMI frequency on 5950. 5970, I think it's Radio Marti. 6000 interfered with, but Radio Havana, Cuba. Radio Marti on 6030. WWCR on 6115. With their crappy transmitter that makes tones and noise. Radio Marti 6125. Radio Romania 6130. China with no audio from Cuba on 6180. 7305, I think, is Vatican Radio. 7365 is Radio Marti. 7420, Radio Romania. 7435, Marti. Something on 7445. We have Mr. Brother Stare, 7520, 7570, 9385. So you see all the stations it finds. Spain on 9690, WRMI 9955, Cuba 11760, Radio Nacional Amazonas 11780. Something on 11880. Cuba on 13740. Sorry if I'm going faster, and we're back at 4840. So this gives you an idea. The scan just gave me these stations that I could hear. Now I'm the Texan is plugged into the MLA30 thanks to the multi-coupler, but it gives you an idea. This is to find stations. If you don't know where to tune, don't know what to tune, just do the ETM scan and see what it finds. It might find something interesting you want to listen to. And at the same time, you know, if you don't have schedules or anything, you can not take note of what you were listening in, what frequency it stopped on, and what time it was. Comexi 1976 ran a Hackintosh PC. I never tried that. I always wanted Hackintosh, the famous Hackintosh. Does that still exist today? What else do we have? Paul, Macintosh was the go-to in the print press design community in the 80s, 90s, which is why I bought my first G something, G2, G3 something. Blue Desktop then. OS 7 or 8, I think. Yeah. Like I said, most of the time you go into something more because you're the work that you have or the industry that you go to is simply in that platform, and you end up with a Windows machine or you end up with a Mac machine, and it's mostly your environment that decided for you more than anything else, you know. Man. Yeah, printers now want to have a PDF. Yeah. Things have changed so much over the years. Crazy. I'm having fun. I'm playing on my Commodore 64 with the drive. I'm playing Maniac Mansion from the 80s. And I actually put Maniac Mansion on the Amiga also. And so I'm running them and doing the same thing on both and comparing the graphics. It's just, I know I'm geek, but it's just a lot of fun. Spike, getting a virus is a behavioral problem. You have to learn what not to do. Yeah, it is totally a problem of how you use your PC more than anything else. Almost everybody that had viruses in Windows when I was a tech guy were doing things like downloading illegal movies, illegal music, and stuff, illegal software with cracks. These were all the people that were bitten. Most people that did just their everything thing, apart from a few that clicked on the link they shouldn't and stuff like that, in general, we're okay. Hey, caveman. Yeah, I don't do a lot of cross-platform promotion for my channels. I'm not, I'll I'll check it out on how to do it or put it. Maybe I'll yeah. David KJ4CNY says I got my RTL SDR to work, just haven't had the time to go further. So Jetcrafter was saying, oops, I lost my 0057 radio Vanicube at 13740. Yeah, that's what one of them was on the ETM scan now. So what else do we have? What else do we have? Snow Puppy I still have a Grunting Godboy 400 in good working order. Don't use it as much anymore, but still gives good reception, very good audio. When you have a Grunting Godboy 400, you don't need to buy one of the new ones, honestly. It works great as a radio already. You're not going to get really much more in most of the modern receivers, and it's a great radio to play with. Caveman. Hey, I go back way when we were in DOS. In DOS, that was crazy with all the commands to enable the extended memory and all the stuff. That was crazy. It's like, hey, I got more than 640K. I have to put those crazy lines when I boot up to have the computer see the extended memory. Funny things just out of the blue is that even today's PCs, the way they are designed, still need to do old school stuff for the extended RAM and everything under the hood. We don't see it anymore, but there's still some code to do stuff like that, because if they didn't, it would totally break the x86 compatibility that PCs always had. There's quite a few things like that we're stuck with. As long as there's not a new way of going into something else, that will also mean that you lose compatibility with everything that's in the past. There's a lot of surprising stuff that people would go crazy knowing what a PC today still has to do that it did in 1990 or 1988. Spike says, let's encourage more people getting on the air, but regular people, not crazy people. Absolutely. We need more people in the ham hobby and the radio hobby in general. John Brocato, nice to have you on board. He's got a 9-year-old Windows PC, and for his DJ company, works fine. And got his second MLA30 Plus. Cool. Oh, the AOL discs. Oh man, these were crazy, Chastank. Everybody that would get a AOL disc when I was doing my tech duties would ask me, what is this and what should I do with it? And I would tell them, well, use it as a coaster. It makes a nice tech coaster for your PC. Skip Array says, some ham transceivers have filters that are not wide enough for good audio and shortwave audio. So yeah, that's something to look at. Because transceivers, if you think about it, the ham transceivers, the main design, the main use will not be for AM mode. So often they will actually include mostly filters that are more designed for either CW or SSB. That's true. You got to be careful. Take the shortwave radio out for a walk. Don't forget the leash. The leash, yeah, as in a 50-foot wire that you bring along. SoCal, nice to have you here from San Diego. Caveman, am I a fan of Muse? And if so, which is your favorite? Oh yeah, I like Muse. I've listened to a lot. Actually have a lot of Muse songs in my playlists. I can't mention necessarily an album per se. It's more of a bunch of songs from Muse from different albums that I listen to. Time is running out. I mean, there's a lot of them. The titles don't come in right now, but time is running out. What's the other one? Is I mean, I probably listened to a dozen songs. The titles just don't come to mind right now. Thomas Olson, Viva Shortwave, Viva All Radio. Yes, yeah, nice to have you here. RJ Dakota, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? David KJ for CMOI says, I have a ham friend who is still on AOL, but I've never heard of someone still on CompuServe. Oh man, CompuServe. Does that thing still exist? I don't think so. So remember how happy I was when I had my first email. Oh, that was the thing. And then I had my first email from somebody from a company online, which was Yahoo, which was one of the first to give out free emails to everybody that just subscribed, and then get your personal data stolen. Oh God. Yeah, CompuServe is gone. I think it doesn't exist anymore. If you want to have a kick and you like PCs and want to go back in time, just go on YouTube and look at all the episodes of the Computer Chronicles. Oh man, sometimes I don't know what to do. I'll just punch one of the episodes while I do something, and it's just amazingly cool. The other day I watched one which was, I think it was the laptops of 1989. Oh God, that was brutal. You look at that and you're like, whoa, okay. Did anybody really buy that? Cats like the MLE30s. Yep, I agree. That's true. Oh, man. David, anyone still have a dial-up modem? Well, you'd be surprised at the amount of people that it's the only way they have internet, even today. And that is an almost impossible thing. Even just the Google logo on the Google page takes an enormous amount of time to just show up. Crazy. Mike, WDX50, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. What else do we have? Tom the X are not a Rush fan either, but watch this Rush song. Lead in, absolutely fantastic. Play it loud. Cool. I'm going to check that out. Dilip up at Texan PL368 automatically goes to LSB or USB. Like Texan PL330 after pushing the SSB button. VU3UEL in Mumbai, India. Yeah, the 368 goes, well, actually, no, the 368 or the Texan PL330 have separate buttons. The Texan PL368 and the PL330, you press upper sideband or lower sideband. There's a button for each. It doesn't have a SSB button on it. It has a USB button and it has a LSB button. You choose what mode you want to use directly. It's not like most radios that you press SSB, it jumps. Most of them jump to USB in general, and then you press again for a lower sideband. The 330 and the 368 have separate buttons. No Rush Limbaugh. What else do we have? Aerial imaging. Did you know that it's possible to ETM scan in lower sideband USB modes? It doesn't only scan. Yeah, it can scan the. I think it scans the ham bands, but it's not super useful in that mode in general. There's also a trick, but I don't know it by heart, where you can, if you there's a keypad trick that you can do that changes the speed of the ETM scan. Apparently, Trucker Daddy, aka John in Quebec, nice to have you on board. Someone said that you can hear satanic messages if you play ABBA backwards. Yeah, who knows? That's the other one. Here we go, Mike WDX50. Just spell ABBA backwards, and Spike says ABBA is the reason I don't trust Vikings anymore. Oh God. Okay. Sergeant Rock, nice to have you on board. Got my first Moderna shot. Most over 75 years old folks are 80, 90 widows. Most guys are gone in Hawaii. No silent keys. Stay healthy. Yeah, cool that you got your first shot. And I should be there someday. I'm still far off, according to the plans of the government. But it's going faster. It's going a lot faster here for the for vaccination. So I'm kind of saying that it could be surprising at how well this summer might actually be closer to a normal. It won't be totally normal, but it will be maybe a little better. Because right now people are going nuts here. Canadian radio TV guy running ETM scan on his Texan PL330 with a long wire. Cool. Caveman. Well, there's a lot because it's not technically DOS. It looks like DOS because the command line looks like DOS, but it's not DOS. But there is a lot of legacy stuff that are left over from the DOS era and the machines running back in the days, even in Windows 10 today, because it's the only way that the machines can keep their compatibility. It's pretty crazy. Robert Prosper, nice to have you here. Danny Shortwave Radio DX, nice to have you on board from Yonkers, New York. DOS will live on forever, just as ancient viral infections live on. It's kind of a DNA. Yep, pretty much. Kamaxi76, do you know what kind of an adapter I would need to connect my long wire to a Texan? It's an SMA. What Texan receiver are you using? Because if you have a long wire, then all you need to do is find yourself a because most Texan receivers are using the 3.5 millimeter jack. Seeker says AOL Disk made best frisbees. Chris, G7 VEO started with a ZX81. Well, I started with a VIC-20, so Chaz Tang, don't forget the old IBM dot matrix printers. Yeah, with the printer paper. Absolutely. I had a Commodore printer, a VIC 1525, I believe. My first PC printer was a very standard one that everybody had. It was a dot matrix Epson. I'm trying to remember the model, but it was like a very standard Epson model. And it was so funny because when I would print for too long in the summer, the print head would get so hot that it would actually pause printing to cool it down. Oh man. Yeah, dial-up BBS, absolutely. Salut Jean-François Trudel. J'espère que ça va bien de la rive sud. Merci. I had a friend that when the internet started, of course, everybody was on dial-up. I had a friend that would use those AOL discs. And what he would do is he would subscribe. So he would, they had like, I don't know, it was the what, 90 days of free of trial or something. And what he would do is he would ask everybody around him, hey, I'm going to give you the cash. Can you just, help me and with your credit card and have the 90 days free? When I get to the end, I'm going to cancel. And he would do that. And I think he had free internet for at least 3 years doing that. It was just so funny. I remember because he asked me, he said, would you mind kind of, giving out your credit card details for me and I remember I did. I remember doing it because I really knew the guy very, very well. And I had no problem with that. And I remember doing that. And he's like, I think he had free internet for at least 3 years using that trick. All that was needed is a different name and a different credit card, and it would still work. Jetcrafter says, oh boy, don't get me going on computers. In my junior year of high school, we were the first class ever to learn BASIC on the TRS-80. Wow. The first computer class I had in high school was in the last year of high school. It was the gym teacher that was converted into a computer class teacher. And I already had a PC and I already had computers long before. So I was really used to the BASIC and used to the computers. And even better is I had spotted on that day that there was only 2 computers in the class that had color monitors. The other ones were all the monochrome, the green screen monochrome. And I remember when I spotted the color monitors, I'm going to sit here. People didn't understand why. I did. And then I remember the teacher coming up to me and saying, hey, you got colors. I said, yeah, that's why I chose this one. This one and that one are colors. He said, oh, cool. And actually, almost all, I didn't learn anything from that class because every time something would screw up on one of the computers, the teacher would come up to me and said, Gilles, can you go see Matthew? There's something wrong with his computer. And I would go and it's like, oh, this. Here we go. And I would go back and sit down. So I'm not the guy that learned that here. I'm the guy that just, fixed everybody's problems. It was just so funny. Rich says yes on the ham HF transceivers. Check the AM filters because they often lack. Many great rigs required a additional AM filter for 6 kilohertz or so to adjust the function properly for shortwave. That's true. It's something I never thought of, but totally true. I mean, those are not made for AM in general. So they're expecting everybody's going to be on single sideband or stuff like that. So they use narrow filters. Mark Schmidt, nice to have you here from Maine. Matt says, and then we got it for spam, and then 99% of all of our email was spam. I mean, Danny Shortwave, his first free email account was Juno, then Hotmail. Mine was Yahoo and then Hotmail. The Hotmail actually I still use today. And the Yahoo also. Both I still use. Pretty crazy. Oh man. Crazy. Yeah, the first Gmail accounts were invitation. Absolutely. Rufus, the first Gmail accounts, you were you were special when you had an invitation to have a Gmail. Today's like, yeah, everybody has a Gmail. PU3HAG, H. Garcia, nice to have you here from Brazil. Would you please spend a few lines on how PL330, PL368, and XH data D808, which one would you take with you for a stroll on the park? So, all three? Is that a proper answer? All three of them? Especially at the size they are. But if let's say out of the blue, I need to go out and take one with me. I would probably it's a hard one. Right now it would be the PL368 simply because it's a new radio that I have. And I would test it out, but it would also be the PL330. But that said, I will also. It's very, very difficult to really choose one. Honestly, there are three great radios, and all three would. As I would go do multiple walk into parks, I would be bringing one and the other and the other and the other, and or maybe all three to test them out together if I have time. Honestly. Alta Vista web crawler. Yep. Hey, I remember when we thought Yahoo was good until Gmail came along and it was like, oh man, Yahoo is so bad. Oh, God. Paul says, Paul Robinson, seen this radio on AliExpress, SE4735, 4732, all band radio receiver, looks interesting. Anyone got one yet? If you're talking about the one that is a little black box with a knob on the front that has no brand on it, that's one of them that's coming to that's the one that's coming to here, pretty much here. Robert Prosper, TV repairmen these days are almost like milkmen. Do they still exist? There's a few shops around town here that I pass in front of that still exist today, but there aren't a lot. And most of them are pretty much shops that are kind of in the homes. So it's like the basement is the shop and the rest is their home where they live. So they can still continue operating because they don't have rent to pay. So these are pretty much the ones that are left because these guys, I had one when I got my American 5 tube receivers. There was one here very close to where I live, two corner streets. And that was an old man. He was like 80 years old. And first time I got there, it was at least 80 years old. And that was exactly that. The first floor was his shop. Second floor, he lived in one of the apartments, and the other apartment he rented. So he was able to continue. I never saw anybody go in there except me. Even when I went there, I don't know how many times. I never remember seeing anybody going in there, and we're talking 10 years ago. So it was already a dying business, anyways. And the only business he had with me was I would buy tubes because he had a big collection of tubes. So when I needed the tube for one of my tube receivers, he always had one. He had a wall of tubes. It was crazy. Like I think out of the four walls, like actually the front was the window, so it's like you could peek in, but The three other sides of the walls for the walls were, I think, all tubes. He had a huge amount of tubes. Some of them used, but tested, so he knew they were working. And a lot of them, he had a lot of new tubes too. That was pretty surprising for me. That shop disappeared when the guy died. And I think a lot of those TV radio repair shops, if they do exist, they exist because the place is they own the place, so no rent to pay, and they probably live at the same building or the same place. And they just keep it operating for whatever, it's something that they keep going. But almost everyone that I've seen over years, they're all pretty old, and it's pretty much what happens. They end up sick or die, and the shop closes, and they disappear. I mean, that's TV repairmen these days are, you know, the problem is not the fact that there's, that business could still be working technically because, we buy big screen TVs, and some of us buy big screen TVs that are worth $1,000, $2,000. If there was a way to repair them for a decent price, I think people might still have them repaired. The problem is today, the way that they are made is, well, we're going to replace that, and it's the full board, and with time and the board and everything, it's $700. And it's like, yeah, but the TV's worth $1,000. I'm not going to pay $700. And I could have a perfectly new TV for $700. Look at this one here. This is a 50-inch. This 50-inch, I paid something like 800, close to 800, 5-6 years ago. It's one of those 10 LCD TVs. It has a problem. It has the main chip that drives the lighting actually overheats, and if I put the brightness too high, it starts flashing. And actually, you might not see it much here right now, but depending on what I show on the screen there, it has a dark spot here, right here, smack in the middle. Now, for what I do here with the SDR, and you guys might notice, it's fine. It does the job. It's okay. As long as it shows a picture, I'll leave it like that. But come on. Do I want to have this thing repaired? The guy that's going to come here is not going to change the chip. He's going to change the board. And it's going to cost, $500 to repair when I paid $800 and it's already 6 years old. You get a cheap 50-inch TV like this for $500 today. So, that's the biggest problem with repair today. If you could still repair, back in the days, those TVs, the radios, you could repair them by changing one part. You didn't have to change the board. You changed one part. You changed one tube. You could change one transistor. Most TV repair or most repair guys today, they're not going to do that. It's like, yeah, there's the board's dead, so we're going to order a new board from Toshiba. That chip, actually, there's a YouTube video, the guy showing you how to actually unsolder the chip and change it by yourself, and it's like a $3 chip. And if you are willing to take that, to do it yourself and take the time to do it, he shows you how to do it, how to be delicate to change the chip, and even shows you how to put a heat sink on it because the chip doesn't have a heat sink. And if you put an heat sink on it, you actually will never have that problem again because it's always properly cooled. But, yeah, you could do that. But the problem is most of them today will not do that. Most of them today don't want to take a soldering iron and say, hey, I'm going to, they just take the board out, and they put the plugs, and here's the new board, close the TV, here it works. But the board that you're going to buy is an electronic board that they're going to sell you for $300. If the guy took the time to just remove the chip and change the chip, he would have a $3 chip to change. So there was be just time, and even if he charged $20 for the chip rather than $3, I would cost less. But it's not the way things are done today. It's not the way that things are repaired today. They don't want to do that anymore. They're not changing just one part today. They're changing a whole board, and that makes it uninteresting to repair whatever you got. Jean-François Trudel, Epson LX810 dot matrix. It could have been. I don't remember at all the model number, but I know that it was one of the most popular dot matrix of all, and made it super easy for me to find the ink all the time because everybody had the ink for that printer. Everybody, everywhere. Even if a place had only 5 packages of inks, one of them was that printer. Command Z76, I was looking into getting a 330 and using the wire that I used to connect to my RSP1A. Okay. Then what you need is simply this. I'm going to post the link here. We actually posted last week, I think. So if you want to use the MLA30 connector you have into the, this is what you need. SMA. No. There we go. This is what you need. And there's here you're going to choose the length and the quantity. And here we go. Sorry, guys. That's what happens when I pet too much Paul the Cat before the show. So here's the link from eBay. This is what you'll need. And here you just choose the length of the cable. So it comes from 6 inches all the way up to a 20 feet long cable if you want. This is exactly what you'll need. It's a SMA female to 3.5 millimeter male connector. And this one has a RG316 low loss RF cable coax. So this is what you'll need, actually. And this is what anybody would need with an MLA30 loop, and that they want to adapt to their receiver, their portable receivers. Most portable receivers have 3.5 millimeter jacks. Yeah, that works, Spike. When you do your own TV repair, you can actually override that cost. But when you get your TV repaired by somebody else, PU3HAG, oh yeah, Windows 3.1, and then Windows 3.11 for work groups with Trumpet windsock. Oh yeah, that thing always that Trumpet windsock was so crappy and always crashing. Actually, Windows 3.1 was always crappy and crashing. That was a true DOS operating system with Windows in it. Actually, Windows 3.1 was a DOS operated software. That was crazy. Rufus, the export, nice to have you here. Rufus Newt replaced pins in high-speed dot matrix printer heads. Was cheaper than replacing the printer back then. Man. David had 8-inch floppies. The biggest floppies I had were the 5 1/4. The export has the malachite on the way. The Chinese or the real one? The export, just out of curiosity. Jetcrafter, as the first computer class or teacher, was the algebra teacher. Wow. At least algebra. They have math in them. I know that a friend of mine had his class with a physics teacher. It's like science goes with it, but the gym teacher, really? The gym teacher is now a computer teacher. Okay, now let's do our programs, but before we'll do 25 push-ups. Man. Daddy Shortwave Radio DX had free internet dial-up for over 15 years because I worked for a company using UUNet internet. And after I quit, I had like 20 numbers. They never changed the passwords. It saved me a lot of money. One of the things that was the most surprising that I always will remember as a tech guy, you got to trust your tech guy, because over years of being a tech guy, you realize how the tech guy can screw you over like real good in many ways. And one of the things I had noticed, and it was useful because I could test out, people never know their darn passwords of anything, and often would have no darn idea of the usernames or whatever. And I remember one of the biggest problems was when we had DSL from Bell Canada here. DSL required you to still connect with a username and a password. And once you had connected, it was fine. Now, one of the problems is that nobody knew their darn. They didn't keep the paper with the info on it. So when people would give me gibberish, oh, this is, I think, the password, and it would always end up, saying it's like, no, can't, doesn't work, no good. Because I remember it didn't say that the username or password was bad. It was just saying can't connect at one point. So you didn't know if it can't connect because something's wrong, or it can't connect because you're giving me the wrong info. I could use my own personal username and password I had at home anywhere, and it would connect. So that was funny because it was always telling me, wow, I could just tell Bell that I don't want internet anymore and just keep the modem and use my client's password and username and passwords and just have free internet at home. It was like, and I was so surprised. I was like, wow, that works everywhere. It's not specific to my line. That always surprised me back then. And so, yes, if you don't know too much about computers, do get a tech guy that you can trust. It's extremely important because there's so many things that a tech guy could screw anybody. Tremoli, Mr. Bell, my dad's ICOM 756 Pro 2 does up to 9 kilohertz AM. That's pretty good. Douglas says, nice weather down in Florida. Cool. Yeah, Rick Cottrell, Gmail was invite only. Absolutely. Oh, man. Yeah. Chastank. Yeah, that was only, it was basic. What's on the floppies or the disks of AOL were simply the software that you needed to connect to their service, because it was their service needed to have that software connect. So it was a specific program they had for AOL to connect to the AOL environment. Kimberly, K6YYL, nice to have you on board. Yeah, if you had an invite for Gmail, that was a long time ago. Absolutely. Pretty crazy. Okay, let's try to go down a little faster here. Let's go down. Oh, Major Domo. Man. Aerial imaging, my Gmail account is one of the original ones. Add invitation. Same primary email I used today. From that date, I've deleted 0 emails ever. My inbox is at about 38,000. Youch. The export says, I also have wondered what 47, 35, 32 generic shortwave receiver is all about. Yeah, I will have one soon. Dark Noise and L, nice to have you on board from the Netherlands. Greetings. We'll do his Novus Ham exam in 16 days. Congratulations. PO3HAG, thanks for the answer. Totally understand what you mean. Yeah. I'm looking at the possibility of a Belka. We'll be checking that out. Of course, we have to go with the money flow, but we'll be checking that out definitely. Definitely. The export says Okidata printers, hot and loud. A lot of the Okidata printers were actually Epson printers, disguised as Okidata printers. Matt says it's about how cheap TVs are. Yep, some are pricey, but most are a lot cheaper than they would because they sell your data, make money that way. It's not worth fixing, which is sad. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Pretty crazy. Yeah, check that out, PU3HAG. I'd be getting some Belka. Yeah, tube testing machines. Oh man, makes me want to watch Mr. Carlson's lab videos now with all the old stuff that he has. Oh man. What else do we have? 90 Shortwave Radio DX has bought a 55-inch 4K LED TV, $300 from eBay. It has Roku, but looks good. You know, depending on what you do, definitely the higher end TVs have a better picture if you're keen at really having precision. And so there are advantages, and if you're somebody that's a maniac of beautiful crisp images with the least amount of artifacts, definitely higher end TVs have an advantage. TVs that are cheaper, big screen TVs that are cheaper, have all sorts of artifacts in the screen when things move fast, for example, or when, depending on the brightness of the picture, they'll have all sorts of little things that could happen. For the majority of people, they don't care. They don't even see it. It's really when you start focusing on that you're like, oh, look at that. It does that. Okay. That's why it was that price, But for most people, it's fine. Salut TVDXer, ça va bien? J'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. No problem, Comexi 76. Joseph Ickenbaum, nice to have you here from Central Coast of California. What else do we have? Let's check it out. I had a cassette tape on the Commodore VIC-20 before I moved on. Actually, I moved on to a Commodore 128, and which was always in Commodore 64 mode because it had the Commodore 64 mode in it. But I had the matching 1571 drive, and that thing was fast on the Commodore 128. But unfortunately, Commodore 128 didn't have a lot of software on it. I was always in the Commodore 64 mode most of the time. Spike, math teacher being the gym teacher. Oh man, pretty crazy. Man. Oh, we all did that. I did that. I would take the tape. I remember the first time I saw a tape, recorded a program. First thing I thought was, what does it sound like? And I would put it in my boombox, and it's like, oh, look at that. That's the sound of the program being written. Was crazy on the Commodore was the fact that the drive was so slow. Tom Bibish, nice to have you here from Monclova, Ohio. Canadian Radio TV, guys. WRMI 5850 transmitting, having technical issues right now. 5850. Well, right now it's music, and it's in the noise here, but it sounds okay. Jetcrafter, O2 UT, Shannon Volmet, coming clear, 5505. Let's check it out. I'm going to punch it in on the Texan PL990X upper sideband. Let me just, here we go. 5505. And let's put it in upper sideband. Not very strong. Let's try 5450. Royal Air Force, not very strong either. That's 5450, Royal Air Force. It's a little better. It's a little better. Maxi 76, is the Texan 380 comparable to the 330? The reason I ask is because the 380 can be found on Amazon with Prime shipping. So there's a big difference. The 380 does not have single sideband, and you will have single sideband on the 330. The 380 has ETM, but the 330 has ETM Plus, which is faster, a little more sensitive. And the 380 is a good radio, but is not as sensitive as a lot of the newer radios today, for sure. Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you here from Greenfield Park, Quebec, where we will be, actually, Sheldon, we will be recording this Sunday's International Radio Report show will be a full year of recording that we'll have done, because last year, March 15th, was the last in-studio show. And so this Sunday, March 14th, means it's a full year now. We've done a full circle of home studio recording with virtual. And by the way, for anybody listening to the International Radio Report, the next show is at 14:30 UTC. Forget 15:30. This Sunday, the show will be at 14:30 UTC. Now, there's a catch. Since CKUT can't handle computers well, it might actually not play at the time that was meant to be. So that's something to know. But we'll be checking it out. Let's hope everything's all right. Actually, I didn't think about it, but since it's pre-recorded, I hope the times are all right, because even the pre-recorded won't play at the right time on Sunday. I didn't think of that. I hope they fix the computer issue and make sure that it works well. Because the reason why it works fine when it's normal is because we're all there in person. But with the computer not having the right time, this Sunday, I'm wondering if our show will play at 10:30 a.m. That's an interesting one. I will actually send a comment with that on when I send the show, when we record it. That is an interesting one that I didn't think of. Chris66, I need to have more of a portable setup for the MLA30. Has anyone mounted it to a camera tripod? I saw a speaker stand used online also. Anything that you can easily mount it on will work fine, honestly. Absolutely. Skipper Ray still has a Commodore 128 with the very rare 512K memory expansion box. Wow. Mine is still here. It's actually running right now because I'm in the middle of a game of Maniac Mansion, so it's running right now. But mine is right here. I've got the Amiga 500 underneath. I got an Atari 1040 ST next to it. Dan, nice to have you on board from Ohio and 8WJZ. PU3HAG says, Gilles or anyone here today, have you guys tried using the diversity reception with the SDR Play, SDR Uno? It works like an MFJ 1026 phaser, but purely in software. I need to check that out closer. I've played a little bit with it, but I need to really test it out closer. And now that I have a new setup, I'm going to have a lot more fun testing out the different functionalities with it for sure. So I'm going to check that out. And I need to make more. I need to make more videos on how to use also SDR Uno and all of that. I know a lot of people are kind of a little find it rough on the edges to learn how to use it for sure. Paul, 50 or 50 is S3 in Southwest Michigan. Cool. Chris66, thank you everyone for the suggestion. Maybe my wife would let me put it in the center of our patio table where the umbrella goes. Maybe. The export. The internet wasn't totally free back in the Commodore days, 80s. I remember my parents freaking out over the phone bill. Oh, back then we had to, with the modems, we had to sometimes do the dial-up of stuff. I remember one BBS that I liked. I had to dial up, and that BBS was in British Columbia, and it had all the satellite capillary and elements for satellite tracking, and I had the software. And I would log into that BBS, but after midnight, because after midnight, the price went down for the phone bill. But man, Bell Canada was screwing us up terribly with what it cost back then. I can tell you that. Keegan's listens to the International Radio Report from CKUT via the station website at the same time. The show airs. Cool. Canadian Radio TV guy, anyone hear about the KDUB broadcast on 9670? I believe you had channel 292 on the 7th and again on Sunday the 14th at 12 UT. So I've seen something about that. Jetcrafter 512K. Wow, my Sinclair at 1K. Yeah. The Commodore 128 in 128 mode had its full 128K available for stuff. It was pretty cool. It was one of the computers that had the most memory back then, most RAM memory. So you are watching the Shortwave live show. I have a question I want to answer that's been sent, but first I'm going to check the email by email just to make sure I see everybody. Richard Lemke, nice to have you here from St. Albert. Nice to have you on board, my friend. And thank you so much for saying hello there, Richard. And welcome to the show. And we also have Matt that is in Arizona saying hello. Says second time watching. I watched last week, enjoying the show. Thank you for all you do. It's very interesting. So thank you very much, Matt, in Arizona. We have Gary saying hello. Gary is in Oklahoma. Says that he's listening. He's got an ICOM ICR 75 receiver. And the question that he has is, do you think I would need something else? Is this a good receiver? I purchased it at a flea market for $150, and I don't know a lot about it. I'm wondering if it's a good rig and if if there's anything better that I could purchase in the future. Gary, don't buy anything else. You got a great radio there. If it's in top shape, an ICOM ICR 75 is actually a great receiver. You're starting off with really something really good. So nope, you don't need anything else. You just need a good antenna with it. That's the other thing that you need. But the radio itself, that's a great radio. You don't need anything else. Honestly, the ICOM ICR 75 is a great radio. What else do we have? The export is trying to DX Shom FM from Cincinnati. No luck. Thomas Olson. Let's have you here. Danny Shortwave. If you wanted to run GEOS fast on the 128, you need that memory expansion. I have it here on my Commodore 64 and runs so slow. GEOS on the 128, actually, you didn't need the memory expansion necessarily to have it run fast. What was slow was the drive. The Commodore 64 had the 1541 drive, and that what made that slow. On the 128 stock 128K, it was actually super fast if you had the 1571 drive. I had the 1571 drive. That actually has burst mode. So what GEOS would do is use burst mode, and that would be super fast on the 128. So you didn't even need that memory expansion for GEOS to run fast. You just needed to have the 1571 drive to have it fast. The funny thing is that GEOS was a very advanced graphics system back then. Honestly, GEOS was amazing for what it did. Anybody that would want to print a bulletin, a little newspaper, it was a pretty darn powerful and nice graphic environment. And I had the mouse. I had the Commodore mouse. I remember using that and having fun. I remember my nephews and nieces coming over, and they were really young back then. I remember one of my nieces was always saying, "Oh, you know that drawing program that I can draw circles and stuff?" And she was maybe, I don't know, 6 years old, 7 years old. And I would just I would do other stuff and turn on the computer. I would put GEOS Paint program, and she would have fun just drawing lines and circles. And she was just, 6-year-old in front of a computer in 1985, 86. You're just amazed at what it does. Dmitry Larinovich, nice to have you on board. And I pick up a lot of stuff on my Texan PL 368. It's really noise that is the problem, because remove the noise, and I got to tell you, it's surprising what you hear. Lou Braga, K3TPP, nice to have you here from New York. Yogi, nice to have you on board. Good morning. Nice to have you here. Spike says, I like GEOS. Yeah, it was amazing. So, the Commodore 128 was a very weird machine because if you had the 1571 drive, I had the kit. Back then, I was working, so I had enough money. And, working, living with your parents, you got money to spend. So I remember I had the Commodore 128. I had the 1571 drive, which was very fast in Commodore 128 mode. And I had the 1084S monitor, which was able to use the 80 column mode of the Commodore 128. And it was really cool because when I would go on BBSs, I had a terminal program, one of the BBS terminal programs that actually in 80 column mode was mimicking IBM PCs. So any BBS that was running for IBM PCs only, I had all the characters, all the colors, everything, and I had 80 columns. It was really, really neat. But the 1571 drive is really what made GEOS and software load real fast because that drive was fast compared to the Commodore 64. Commodore 64, even with the 1571, cannot use that speed. It was really unique, and only on the Commodore 128 could it be used. WKRP. Oh man, I remember watching that. I remember there was a lineup when I was young. WKRP. I saw for the first time. That show I saw for the first time in I was in, I don't know, late 70s. I When I would come back home from school, I would wait for Scooby Doo to play. And just before Scooby Doo was playing, it was WKRP in Cincinnati. Oh man, oh man, good old days. Joseph, weird digital signal coming in on 8680 in California at 0219. I'm just going to check if I hear anything here. 8680. Don't seem to be hearing anything. So nothing here on 8680. I have a couple of questions that I wanted to answer today. One from a viewer called Craig, and he sent me this this email today, hoping that I would answer it on the live show. So I hope you're still watching, Craig. He's asking me about the MLA30 loop. He says that he's seen me talk about it real, in a real positive way. And he's wondering if it's really worth it for him to invest in that antenna. He's got a wire outdoor, and he says that he doesn't receive a lot of stations. And he's afraid that if he buys an MLA30, that it won't fix anything. So, I'll say it like I say it all the time. If you don't receive a lot of signals with a wire outdoors, it's because your environment is probably very noisy. That's the main problem. Because remove the noise, there's a lot of signals underneath the noise. So the MLA30, I'll say it again, is not a magic antenna. It's not going to remove all of that noise, but it is your best chance at possibly getting a decent reception of shortwave. So I think you should think about it, because that might be one of the solutions if you want to listen from home. If you want to have an idea of what signals you can receive also, because it's a very complex to explain it a little bit, but try to listen at times like late afternoon, evening, or early morning. You might have more chances at signals. A lot of people don't know that midday, like noon local time, isn't the best time to listen to shortwave. Take that radio for a walk. Go and find a little spot, a park, anything that you can go, a little just away from the houses and the buildings around you a little bit. And you don't really have to go that far. You don't have to, walk 50 kilometers. You just immediately when you start like moving away from buildings and houses, you'll notice that the noise level, overall noise level, actually goes down. And you might notice that just that will give you a lot more signals already. But if you want to listen from home, an MLA30 is almost the only thing that you can try. It's the cheapest thing that you can try to remove the noise, basically, from your listening. And not all of it, but it will actually give you signals that a lot of people out there had noisy environments and they got the MLA30 and they're like, wow, I am getting a lot more. I think it's your best shot at an inexpensive way to try it, for sure. And at the price that it isn't that expensive. I understand that in any money spent in not really knowing if it's going to work well or not is money spent. But I mean, I where I purchased it, they still have it for 40-ish US dollars, shipping included. So at that price, you can't really go wrong that much. Um, Matt says WKRP was a great show. It was sad when they canceled it, but it lived on in syndication. Yep. Keegan, my dad, remembers when he worked at WISC TV3 in Madison, Wisconsin, CBS station there when WKRP came on. All non-essential work came to a halt. Oh, man. Sheldon Harvey, WKRP in Cincinnati. Original first run shows ran from on CBS from September 78 to April 82. So I probably caught the first episodes around maybe 1978, but probably more like 1979, 1980. I don't know where, but I remember just listening to getting WKRP because they were moving on after it was Scooby-Doo playing next. I remember that. Canadian Radio TV guy says 8680 USB loud and clear here in Western Canada on the PL330. My local VE6JY SDR says it's a fax. It's a fax. Sorry, guys. 8680. I'm going to check here on the 8680. 8680. What's according to AIBI Spaces? There's something here. 86. Oh, 8682. Okay. You guys are listening to 8682. It's the Point Reyes, California station sending fax, weather fax. It's on right now because it's 0140 to 0415 UTC. So this is Point Reyes, California weather fax station. That's why you guys on the West Coast are hearing it really well. Here it's not making it to the East Coast. So that's the Point Reyes, California weather fax. So if you put your radio on 8680 upper sideband and use FLDG in weather fax mode, choose IOC 576 mode or multi-PSK and fax mode, you will decode the images sent from this station. This is NMC Maritime Station sending fax from Point Reyes, California. Guys, it's on 8682 kilohertz exactly. 8682 exactly. Lou Braga is buying a second MLA30 to play with diversity reception. Cool. I need to check it out. I got 3 MLA30s there. I need to play around. The export. Can you DX any medium wave from Europe and Eastern Canada? Well, the east part of Canada. People in Newfoundland, for example, they have amazing reception, transatlantic reception. Absolutely. Here in Montreal, I see little lines. So on the SDR here, I'll be able to see that there are signals. One, for example, 882 from the UK, which is a BBC outlet, but they're never strong enough for me to be able to hear anything, honestly. Dmitry Narinovich says, I used now the Grundig DL350S receiver and get a lot shortwave signals in my home. Outside even better. Yeah, That's usually what happens. In the noise, in the house, it's often a little noisy. Harry Olden, well, pretty much everybody buying an MLA 30 is getting the plus now. I'm not even sure the MLA standard MLA isn't is available in other things than the MLA 30 right now. Kimberly K6YYL says, my very good ham friend Sean KI7KX died. We just found out from a family member that he died December 26, 2020. He is on many of my YouTube videos. Oh, that's so sad. Sorry to hear that, Kimberly. Really, really sad to hear that. My thoughts are with you. It's always one of those, bad moments and those sad moments of life, unfortunately. Especially, and radio related friends and stuff. It's crazy how time flies, and we sometimes don't take enough of that time to appreciate it. Canadian Radio TV guy says, I always notice how medium wave stations are not always zeroed in Europe. Say that example, like in North America, a medium wave station is zeroed on 640 or 1240. No, because in Europe, they're 9 kilohertz spaced. So that gives odd frequencies that you can tune to. While here, it's 10 kilohertz in North America. But in Europe, it's 9 kilohertz. So every 9 kilohertz, it could be a medium wave station, technically. That's kind of interesting. One of the reasons, I believe, also why IBOC, the HD radio format we have here, isn't possible in Europe, because that 1 kilohertz that is off the bandwidth makes it more difficult to have all the information in it. So it's crazy. Yeah, 9 kilohertz. I don't know why parts of the world are on 9 kilohertz and parts of the world are on 10 kilohertz. I never understood that one. But that is cool, because for people that can DX transatlantic medium wave stations, a lot of them are off frequency, so it's easier to actually listen into some of the signals, because a lot of them are like smack in the middle between two of the major AM channels here in North America. Wow, 53 years old. That's young. That's young. Mike Thornton, nice to have you here. WC0L/7 in Arizona. The export, how's that 102-inch CB whip doing on shortwave reception? Well, it's not up anymore. It was up for a while, but it's been gone for a while from outside. But it was an interesting experiment. It actually worked well in general. So it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool. It was pretty much reverse kind of, it worked well at 10 meters and 11 meters, of course, because it's made for CB and it would resonate well. But the lower I would go in frequency, the less it would perform, actually. But it was a surprising experiment when I did it. Harry Alden loves listening to Voice of Greece on 94.20. Great music most nights. Absolutely. Paul Emmons, Emily 30 on Amazon. Yeah, I've seen it. Is it a decently priced? Because on Amazon, one of the biggest problems is sometimes the stuff we buy is there, but the price isn't necessarily that great. For sure. Mike WDX, well, we are a metric country and we're not using 9, we're using 10. So here we're following North American channels, basically. What else do we have? 4096 upper sideband, weird data pulses. I'll check out if I hear anything here. But, West Coast, East Coast, we hear so much different things. Nothing here. That's 4004, which is the U.S. Navy on the East Coast. Somebody was asking also, I'll punch in one of those frequencies because you guys might have heard. You guys might have heard. See if I can find some here. 444. I would like to try one. Just going to check out because I'm not getting anything here. Check out here. Well, propagation is weird today. A lot of the Kodar is not there on 4 megahertz tonight. Kind of weird. Huh. So, kind of interesting. Bonne nuit, TVD Extra. MStax, nice to have you on board from Berkeley, California, and 6 RLS 73. Yeah, 4000 and for those that wonder, 4004 upper sideband. This famous RTTY here. This is a U.S. Navy encrypted radio teletype signal from comes from the East Coast, I believe. It's from the U.S. Navy. Jetcrafter, hearing a station on 154 kilohertz sounds like a U.S.-based radio show is expecting British. Okay. Are you sure you're not getting an image from one of the local stations? Because kind of weird. 154. It's on 154 on longwave usually. Oops. Just gonna check out here. So nothing here. 154. Nothing is here on my list. Maybe I have an AM broadcast. Yeah, I think that is something that a lot of us are attracted to those weird sounds of shortwave for sure. Paul Emmons, $48 US. That's not that bad of a price. And with Amazon, you get that security of Amazon if you need to return it. Alan, nice to have you here. Received SPL 330 from China this week. Was the 3303 firmware? Can you explain the problem with the fine tuning that you spoke about before? As I didn't notice anything yet. Thanks. Okay, so when you tune single sideband, Alan, and if you have 3303 in single sideband, you have that issue exists. But you have to understand how single sideband works to understand that it is a problem. If you don't understand how the tuning of single sideband works, you don't notice that it's a problem because you still can tune into the single sideband signals. But try this test when you hear a single sideband signal, okay? When you go into ham bands, put your tuning at 1 kilohertz so that you tune the single sideband signals 1 kilohertz at a time. And you will see that for example, if you're on 80 meters, 3760, you hear a ham. That is a lower sideband signal. So you're in LSB. In 1 kilohertz mode, when you tune up from that signal, the pitch gets higher. When you tune down, the pitch gets lower. That is the standard tuning of a single sideband signal. So in lower sideband, you'll tune down to go get the signal, and then you pass by and you pass on to the next. In upper sideband, you tune upwards and you get your signals and then move on to the next. But you'll notice that if you do the same thing with the same signal, but you go and put your tuning and fine tuning 10 hertz in lower sideband where you should be going down, you'll notice that it actually reversed. You're actually going up when you're going down, as if you would be in upper sideband, but you are in lower sideband. And of course, in upper sideband, you're going to go down when you tune up. It's going the wrong way. What that does is that signal that you're listening to, you're still able to zero in and listen to it, but you're not on the good frequency. You're not on the right frequency where it is because you're not tuning in the right direction. So you could be a couple of kilohertz off in the wrong direction to listen to what is not on that frequency, but 2 kilohertz up or down from where you actually are. So try that. Once you find a single sideband signal, put yourself in 1 kilohertz, go down or up, depending on lower or upper sideband, to zero beat that signal. Then do that experiment again. Do it, but do it with this fine tuning. And you'll see that, whoops, things have changed. It's all reversed, which should not be. It should still be in the same direction. So I don't know if it's a difficult thing to explain without doing it live. I have one of my videos of PL330 that I show exactly what happens. But and fine tuning, you actually get reversed. The thing is, if you are not, if you like I said, if people that would buy that radio, tune a single sideband signal, and not really know, they would not notice anything wrong because you can still tune and zero beat the voice. So it's kind of interesting. Jetcrafter could be an image. Wasn't expecting to hear anything other than NDB signals. Yeah, NDB signals, non-directional beacons, start a little higher than 150. There is a small amateur band, or 100 and 70, 80 kilohertz. Trying to remember where. But you're probably hearing an image from some AM station that's creeping in there. For sure. Canadian Radio TV guy says, I have an old long wave radio that marks the band as aviation weather. Huh. Liberator, sounds like Donald Duck, tune down. If it sounds like Darth Vader, tune up. But the problem with the PL330s, when you're not at 3305, it actually tunes reverse, unfortunately. What else do we have? Well, Ralph Filco, PT914 FM AM long wave shortwave receiver from 1965. Wow. M-Stacks, can you believe? Just heard a week or two ago about Jill's weekly CKUT show, International Radio Report. Instant fan and have been listening to all available podcasts to catch up. Wow. So I mean, it's actually Sheldon's show, but I am co-host with Sheldon Harvey every Sunday, and it's been running since 1987. Unfortunately, the archives are only 3 months. I got a full year of shows, but I don't know where to put them so that I can actually have them available for you guys. I'd like to put the full last year of shows somewhere that it's available for a minimal fee. I don't care about paying for the online hosting, but I haven't found a proper place yet. Maybe you guys would like that. Spike, as a licensed proper hamster, I will tell you right now that we hide all the messages from the robots who are going to take over the world. You will be assimilated. Oh, man. Yeah, since 1987, as Sheldon says. Long time. Long time. Dmitry, when the weather in Minnesota will be warm, I'll be outside a lot with my portable radio. Cool. You'll see it's just another you'll just have another really another world. Going outside is a different beast. PU3HAG says that's something important you just said. There are 3 types. Do you listen to SSB, BFO, product detector, and DSP? Yeah. And some radios don't have separate upper lower sideband at all. Some use a fine-tuning button instead. What else do we have? Kimberly, we had some wild weather this morning. Crazy thunder and tons of rain. Tomorrow, supposedly rain and 33 Fahrenheit. Good time for hot chocolate and radio. Absolutely. Taking care of yourself. That's great. That's great. Do they, MStacks? Do they have, if you fake the date, they have more than 3 months? I wouldn't be surprised with the way they work, but I need to check that out here. I need to check that out for a second. You're making me curious now. So I go to the archives, CKUT archives. I go to the show and go International Radio Report. Okay, let's go down. The one that is the oldest they have is October 25th. So if I click here, okay. Now, a week earlier than 25th is the 18th. So if I put the 18th, look at that. 2020, 28. Let me just check it out here. We'll put a little bit of audio. I'm going to check something here. So 20. Let me just go back. So this is
CKUT, Montreal, Canada.
Georgia. Meanwhile, Trump has spent $112,000.
Okay, so that's for a show on the 25th of October, 2020. And if we go on to the 18th, it doesn't say valid. Were you able to find older shows? Because with the date, it doesn't seem to work. Or you found a way to do it. So anyways, what else do we have? PU3, HAG, SSB, relative tuning, AM, medium wave stations. Yogi 6105. Are you sure it's not NHK Japanese from France? Who talked about 6105? Just out of curiosity here. Somebody mentioning 6105. So no, this is not Chinese, Douglas. It's Japanese. It's NHK from Issoudun, France transmitter. 6105. Here we go. Here we go. That is definitely Japanese. When you start listening to Japanese and Chinese, you often have You notice the difference in the language. So that's 6105 is the NHK Radio Japan Japanese feed coming from Issoudun, France transmitter site. No, it's not. It's not Chinese, Douglas. It's really NHK in Issoudun, France. We know what we're talking about. It is really NHK in Japanese, and it does. This is definitely Japanese when you listen to the language. That is Japanese. Totally Japanese. What else do we have? Speaking of hot beverages, I think I'm going to get a cup of mint tea. Cool. And your crystal ship radio mug. Wow. Cool. Cool. Play Shom. Yeah, I'm going to get... yeah, I changed the date, but it gives me unavailable if I go further than the 25th of October, which is the oldest show they have. Weird. So, yeah, 6105 is NHK from Issoudun, France, with a really good, signal always. So what are you using, Douglas, as a list for the frequencies? I'm using, of course, my EIBI space. So 6105, to give you an idea, as at this time, so we're 02 or 50 UT. If you look at the time in the list of frequencies, there's a lot of stations using 6105. But the one that is now 02 to 04 UTC is NHK Radio Japan from France, and it's in Japanese, and it's directed to Central America, apparently. So China National Radio 1 is not on at this time. They are on from 22 to 24 UT, 15 to 16 in China Radio, in R, which is what, Romanian or something like that, or Russian, maybe Russian. National Radio is also from 10 to 12:30 and 13 to 14. So at this time, 02 to 04, it is definitely here on the EIBI space. You see that it's definitely the Radio Japan. Radio Japan. What are all those digital periodic wines that you can have over here in North America on the 16-meter band? It makes very hard to listen to stations between 45, 53. If you talk about these, that sounds like sweeps. These are CODAR, which is a form of radar, an ocean radar that detects speed and direction of ocean waves. That sounds like a chirp signal, which is, it's so funny. I'm not hearing any CODAR right now, which is kind of weird. I'm just going to check something, guys. I have the impression something is not right. There it is. I think I had a little problem with the antenna. Okay, let me just do something here. That's the problem. Wait for a second.